WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. We are going to get the Maryland Crab Cake Tour back out on the road, presented by the Maryland Lottery, in conjunction with our friends at Goodwill and Window Nation. We're going to begin at G&A, Coney Island Hot Dog. Yes, we're going to have crab cakes at a hot dog joint. My buddy Andy's been owning it all my life. He's moved from Highlandtown up to White Marsh. We're going to go visit with him to start the new year. And, to start the new year, I've got resolutions and, I want to have more fun this year than I had last year because I did not have enough fun last year. And I want to add to that. And, this person has been in my life a long, long time, probably from the beginning of my radio career. I'll let her explain how she found out about me. She was a bit of a baseball head back in the early 90s. We all were. And she became my friend, and we've been friends forever, but she's lived in Italy for the last 2 decades plus, has moved back to the United States and has been involved in this project that, quite frankly, I only went to one Oriole game in 2022, and it's because she had like an extra ticket at 6 o'clock, and I was downtown at Lexington Market anyway at Fadley, so met some friends. We did our thing. She's been involved with cochlear implants with her son being born deaf. So I want to introduce Jodi Cutler to my world. There's a lot of folks out there that know you from your rally cap story and now being native and domestic back here in the United States of America, but always of Baltimore, always of would I call you Pikesville, Owings Mills? What would your homeland be?
Born and bred in Randallstown, transferred to Pikesville.
Randallstown. I'm leaving Owings Mills out.
The combination has worked well for me. Yes.
Listen, I'm from Dundalk, and I don't know the delineation from where Dundalk and Essex are easy. There's a bridge and there's a poop plant, so we can figure that out. But I don't know White Marsh from Fullerton, from Perry Hall, from where neighborhoods begin and end. You're Baltimore. You're one of us, right?
Correct. 100%.
Rally caps. I know of my friendship with you. We've remained friends forever, holiday friends. You come back sometimes from Italy for various things, and we would meet up, have a beer. Your family was always involved because you're back visiting them. Give me the rally cap story, because I know of your fondness for your father and your father's fondness for baseball, but I don't know the whole story. All I know is I got 2 free tickets to an Oriole game last year, and I'm appreciative. Thank you very much, Jodi.
No problem. I'm not sure if I should begin at the Air Supply concert or Memorial Stadium.
This is what happens when you get to be old like me. Is that I'll have someone like you in my life, and I know moments with you in the 90s that we celebrated together. We were at games, and I remember all of that. I probably went to the Baja Beach Club with you or something like that. So that era, but the day I met you, I don't know. So if you remember the day you met me and it involved
the day that we
Russell Hitchcock and Graham Russell, then I want to know about it.
You were with Barry and I was with my friend Susan, and we were at the Air Supply concert. I freaking love Air Supply.
Merriweather.
I don't think it was Merriweather, but it could have been. I don't remember. I blocked a lot of that part of my life, but I grew up at Memorial Stadium, and because my dad was really passionate about baseball, Miracle on 33rd Street. We just had a great childhood growing up with the Orioles in those days, and so baseball has always been a part of our souls. To fast forward really quickly, I participated in an exchange program in high school in 1989. I went to Pikesville, and that's where I met my ex-husband. And I thought he was hot in the middle of the streets of Grosseto, Italy. The consulate of Grosseto of Baltimore was from Grosseto. So he had an exchange program. And I fell in love, went back and forth, had the whole Italian romance, and then moved to Grosseto with Jordan, who at that time was 10 months old. And my husband lived there, had a government job. So I'm like, I can move to Tuscany and drink Chianti.
How much Italian did you speak? You didn't speak any Italian when you moved there, did you?
I spoke zero Italian.
Yeah, the night I met you at Air Supply, I mean, you knew you could sing Air Supply songs, but you couldn't sing in Italian.
Yeah, zero Italian. But so I got to Italy with my son and really excited, tiramisu and a lot of fettuccine and tagliatelle. And 1 month later, my son was diagnosed with profound bilateral sensorineural hearing loss. So he was deaf. really deaf. And so the doctor tried telling me that in Italian. I didn't understand a word. So I like looked at my husband. I'm like, you have to translate. And the doctor said, you can't speak any English to your son. You can only speak Italian or it will confuse him. Nowadays, that's not the way things roll. But back then in 96, well, at that point it was 97, my son was 11 months old and diagnosed as deaf, and Jodi had to speak Italian, no more English. So that started our road to trying to help my son speak. Now,
how did you learn Italian? I mean, like,
I'll tell you. So like,
I mean, seriously.
No. Well, I mean, I had to go full immersion because, well, I had some people saying you need to learn to sign, and I was not against signing. I went to find out how I could sign, but the people in Italy, in my town of Grosseto, were like, Italian Sign Language is not the same as American Sign Language. So
wow. I didn't know that.
Had I learned the Italian Sign Language, I wouldn't have been able to communicate in the United States anyway. And then I would have had to learn the Italian Sign Language and the Italian language. And I was just, it was too much for me.
It's a good thing you're smart.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, like literally, because you have to be smart to learn languages when you were 25 years old, right?
God, that was good, Nestor. I was 25. And so I had speech therapy paid by the Italian government. Everything was paid by the Italian National Healthcare Service. So my son right away was fitted for hearing aids, ear molds. We changed his hearing aids once a year. We had speech therapy 3 times a week. And I learned Italian with him. I would come home, repeat the lesson that we learned. And I started teaching English in Italy and made all of my students repeat the Italian to the English that I said. So slowly I was able to make the two things mesh and learn how to speak Italian. My son did well with hearing aids. He started getting frustrated when he was about 8 years old, and I had done my research. We had Hopkins and John Naparco in Baltimore, and I was who was like the best cochlear implant surgeon at the time. And I was across the world trying to get information about cochlear implants in Pisa. And my son ended up having cochlear implant surgery in Pisa. And
I remember all of this, like, right. I remember this technology that came on, and I'm like, her son can't hear, and now he can hear. Like, that's
my
freaky.
Son, for the type of hearing loss my son was born with, hearing aids could take him only to a certain point. He had absolutely no ability to have incidental, spontaneous language, and he was really smart and really frustrated. The cochlear implant, it's different from hearing aids. Hearing aids amplify the sound. Instead, cochlear implants reproduce sound more similarly to how we hear as adults. And I mean, as hearing people. So because he suddenly had access to spontaneous language, he took off. He'd had a lot of good speech therapy. He was a pretty good hearing aid user. With the cochlear implant, it gave him that extra access to sound that allowed him to suddenly become more affectionate, less frustrated. And he, at that point, I saw him become autonomous, independent. And it was like a huge weight of the world was lifted from me. Now, in the meantime, my dad, about 3 years earlier, had sent me a short story that he had written about him getting hit by a baseball bat. And had I never said this to my dad, I'm like, oh, that's a really cute story. It could actually be transformed into a book. From the moment those words left my mouth, my dad started saying, write the book. So my relationship with my dad for 3 years while I'm dealing with Jordan and cochlear implants was, Jodi, write the book, write the book. And I was not in the mental space to be able to do that. However, when I saw my son doing well, I had this desperate need to thank the medical professionals who had helped us reach the point where he was suddenly happy. And so I said to my dad, okay, I'm ready to write the book with you. So I was in Grosseto, Tuscany. My dad was in West Palm Beach, Florida. And via email, I would write a chapter, he would correct it and add some baseball, because he was like really great at the baseball stuff. And I just wanted to create the character with a cochlear implant who could speak, not sign, because traditionally the characters in literature could sign and not speak. However, my son had no representation in literature, and I wanted there to be a strong deaf character who could speak with cochlear implants. So my dad gave me the possibility to do that. There was a lot of Camp Milldale in the Rally Caps book. and the characters. And so between my dad's Camp Belgrade, my Camp Milldale, and our shared experiences with the Baltimore Orioles, we created this book. Now, as insanely determined as my dad was to get this book made in, to get the story made into a book, he was that determined and persistent to get it made into a movie, because we have no contacts with Hollywood. We are zero, like we don't know anybody. But my dad started sending emails, started sending letters. Once the book was published and people liked it, he was like, it has to become a movie. And he found our director, Lee Chipola, who was in between a job with Disney and deciding what he wanted to do next. And 15 years after the first time my dad contacted him, he wrote to us because apparently he had gone on this hike in the mountains of Colorado and had this epiphany that he wanted to do a sports baseball family movie, and he wanted it to be Rally Caps. So he called my dad and they started working together. I said to okay, so that's the first part of the story.
So Rally Caps was a book, correct?
Yeah, correct.
That was written in 16, 17, 18. What year are we talking about here?
It was written in 2007.
But
Yes.
and was physically out in 2007, 8, 9.
It was physically out in 2007, and then the Italian version was out in about 2008.
So the movie idea comes when?
As soon as the first person read the book and said that would be a great film.
And then when does actually boots happen on the ground to make it into a film? Because you're talking about a 15-year arc here. At what point did the movie thing become some semblance of a reality? Because I saw you talking about it in social media in various ways. I know of your tour last year, and I would think that COVID and the plague didn't do this any justice as well. And the last time I reached to have you on the show, you were wearing a gas mask, and everybody over here is laughing at the Italians while you guys are like, everybody's dying in Italy on the first wave of the plague, which was 3 years ago this week, right? And you were just trying to stay safe and get groceries at that point, right?
That's really funny that you should say that. You're really good at this, Nestor. I'm not going to lie. Okay. So in March of 2020, my dad calls me and says, Lee Chipola is ready to make Rally Caps. And I said, now's not a great time to make Rally Caps, because I don't know if you're aware of what's happening, but COVID is going to be a thing, and nobody is going to be making movies during COVID. I mean, I'm living.
Only you and Pearl Jam knew that. Pearl Jam canceled the tour, and everybody's like, F Pearl Jam, man. Like, we were 3 weeks away from rocking, and they never did play the Royal Farms Arena, by the way. I do have the coffee in my cup, but they
God,
never
I
did.
love Pearl Jam.
Yeah, they never played the gigs, right? Obviously. And I remember everybody being angry. They were the first, like, how dare they cancel for this plague? And then 2 weeks later, we're like, oh yeah, they must have done a little bit of reading, must have listened to Dr. Fauci in the beginning. But you had a different experience because you were in Italy, and it was real serious, real fast there. I remember seeing the Italian mayors like on the video cursing at everyone to tell them to stay home, and like nobody was listening, right?
I was trying to keep everyone of my friends and family all over the world, because of the cochlear implant groups. I have contacts all over the world. So I was trying to give them a day by day of what we were living in Italy, which was not pretty. I mean, we're talking body bags in trucks moving through Bergamo. So, I mean, I had a really hard dose of COVID reality, and my dad was like in another world.
Well, keep in mind, like, your dad's probably watching Fox News, and Trump's telling everyone it's just the flu. You know what I mean? Like, we were getting lied to as a society here.
I know you were, because I was literally day by day giving you the truth, but it is what it is. And so,
but making movies during this is not easy to do.
So to make a long story short, my dad and Lee started moving forward. We were supposed to film in June or July of 2020, but that did not work because of COVID. And it actually was a good thing, because Lee took the screenplay and he transformed it into something that was so phenomenal in the time from June 2020 to January of 2021.
Story change, serendipity took over is what you're telling me.
Story evolution. And in the meantime, it just kept getting better and better. Then we had a table read, and I met Carson Minier. I met James Lowe, who's Coach Ballgame. If you don't follow Coach Ballgame and you love baseball, give him a follow on Instagram. He's like, the man is unbelievable. Then, so things move forward, and in about, I'd say April, one of our producers, Amy Williams, said, the movie is amazing. The screenplay is great. I want to send it to Amy Smart and Judd Hirsch. And Lee and my dad are like, all right. I mean, we have a budget for a small indie film, but let's see what happens. They both love the screenplay. They both want to do Rally Caps. So our little indie film got suddenly bigger. They started filming in LA in June.
I'm not familiar with Amy Smart. I'm familiar with Judd Hirsch, obviously from Taxi, and but fill
and now
me in
the
on what does that mean that they're interested in April of, I guess, 21 at this point?
They're well-known stars, which means that our little film talking about how, strong characters with cochlear implants who are deaf and can speak can suddenly become more visible, because the whole point of that character is to smash stigma. So if our film concentrates on the ability and disability and has well-known actors, we have more of a chance to get that message out to the public, to the mainstream students, so that we can have inclusion and accessibility and more information. And so their names bring a lot more visibility.
Jodi Cutler is my guest. Rally Caps is her book, her film, her dad. We left him out. We cut him out on this one so she and I could have some quality time here together. She is, if you're familiar with Jodi from being around town, Randallstown, Pikesville, from 30 years ago, and living over in Italy, and cochlear implants, and her activism and incredible hard work on all of this. So full circle, film gets made. Bring me into the baseball tour last year. And quite frankly, I haven't seen it. Other folks, give me how we can be involved here in this, as well as just this incredible pulling back the curtain of how this miracle movie got made, right?
Okay, so I'm going to try my very best to make this synthetic and short and sweet. To make a long story short,
we have plenty of time here. This is not The View. I don't have a commercial break in 4 minutes. We're good.
Okay. All right. So let me just go back to when we filmed. All right. Judd Hirsch and Amy Smart, they did their part in June. We then Carson and Lee went to Field of Dreams to film a dream scene, a dream sequence, and that was an experience in and of itself with the tornado warning.
So you went to Iowa into the field.
Yes.
Nice.
Through the corn stalks.
Haven't been there yet, but
I wasn't there. I wasn't there because I was still in Italy at this point. So I missed the June shooting. I missed the Field of Dreams shooting, but apparently there was like a tornado warning and a brief period of time spent in the barn at the Field of Dreams. But that was a thing, and it ended up being perfect. So after that, we needed to find more investors, and that's when I entered and started becoming a producer and got an education, got a huge Hollywood education. So little Jodi, living in Grosseto, Tuscany, ends up back in Pikesville, Baltimore, trying to find investors to be able to finish this movie. And we were blessed from above with a lot of luck and a great producer. Again, Amy Williams came through with that. In the meantime, we have William Garcia, who was handling budget and getting things organized for our shoot in at Camp Scatico in upstate New York. So we managed to get everything that we need done. We transferred to Camp Scatico for 2 weeks. And we're like in the middle of COVID, so everybody's wearing masks. We have like COVID Jenny, who's like, you keep your mask on, and all the kids. So we're in upstate New York for 2 weeks, no Wi-Fi, no video games, and everybody's playing dodgeball. It was just the most amazing experience filming this movie, and there was a lot of love on set, and that is transmitted in the movie. You can see all the love.
Well, the movie came out when? What was the timeline on that?
The movie is not out yet. I just want to say one more thing before I get to that.
Because you did the baseball tour last year, and I was trying to figure out.
Everybody's trying to figure out.
That's why I'm having you on the show. I don't know what the hell's going on, Jodi. Fill me in.
Okay, so I just want to add really fast that Curtis Pride, deaf Major League Baseball player, is in the movie. And there's a sequence at the end that's like so unbelievable.
I was in a locker room with Curtis Pride back when he played, so I remember him well.
The greatest guy. His wife Lisa's an announcer for the Cardinals, the minor league baseball team, And his kids are both in the movie. His son has single-sided deafness, and his daughter has bilateral sensorineural deafness, like my son, and she had cochlear implants at age 12. So we have representation in the movie. Their whole family is in it. Now, fast forward. I decided, together with another producer, her name is Eileen Jones. She's deaf, wears a cochlear implant, and had a foundation called the Gift of Hearing Foundation. She had done a tour with Jacob Landis, deaf bilateral cochlear implants, who rode his bicycle to every single Major League Baseball park in the United States, got hit by a car as he almost finished the tour in Miami, ended up coming back and then finishing the tour in Miami. But she had contacts with all Major League Baseball stadiums. And I was like, Eileen, we need to do a Rally Caps hearing loss awareness day for Better Speech and Hearing Month in May. Can we do that? So she started knocking out all the contacts. We organized the stadiums right in the middle of the strike. So we literally were trying to talk to all these baseball stadiums.
They weren't sure there was going to be a season last year.
And we weren't sure that there was going to be a season. So we lost all of our sponsorship to do the Rally Caps Hearing Loss Awareness Day. But we were determined to do it. So instead of doing all of the stadiums we had planned, we did 8. So we started with the Mets and Citi Field, then we went to the O's at Camden Yards. We did the Guardians, the Cardinals, the Cubs, the Marlins, the Brewers, and the Rays. And what we did was we offered free hearing screenings. In Baltimore, we had the help of Amanda Kozlowski from Towson State Hearing and Balance Center, Regina Presley from GBMC, Steve Bowditch of Hopkins, and Alan Oshinsky from the Hearing Wellness Center, who has a free hearing screening van that he donated to us to be used so that the fans can come and get their hearing checked. Because what we're trying to do is emphasize healthy hearing and safe listening, and that's what we wanted to do. Now, the stadiums let us show a clip of Rally Caps that still wasn't a movie at that time. I
saw the clip when I was at Camden Yards, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure. So the movie, nobody's seen the movie yet.
No.
When am I going to see the movie?
Well, so the good news is that the movie had its premiere at Heartland International Film Festival. We actually won an Audience Choice Award for Best Narrative. So that was really exciting. It also sold out all virtual links because there's so many hearing loss associations that want to see their kids represented in movies. And we just had a Los Angeles premiere. Judd Hirsch was there, and that was unbelievable. Like Getty Images, the whole deal. I'm like gliding through this, just shocked about everything observing. And so now we still were in the process of putting the finishing touches on the audio and the score. We have Catherine and Kim Kluge, who are doing our score. They did a Martin Scorsese film, I want to say Silence, and they're like so talented. So they're putting the finishing touches on. Lee Chipola is busy with Catherine Borda, our other producer, who's our creative producer, finishing everything. And we will have our next festivals. They will be on January 22nd in Dallas at the Kid Film Festival. And then we're having our Florida premiere at the Donald M. Ephraim Palm Beach Film Festival, The Movies of Lake Worth on January 29th, CMX Downtown at the Gardens on February 5th. So now what happens is we need to sell the movie, find a streamer distributor. We're finishing it. We should be sending it out within a month. So we're hoping someone's going to pick it up. At that point, I'll know how to tell you how it's going to be available.
This is why you've been so elusive to me, because you're in the middle of baking the cake is what you're really doing, right? I mean, it's not
frosting it. I'm frosting it.
I'm just checking. Jodi Cutler is here. I have the website up. It is Rally Caps the Movie. I'm going to pull it up here so everybody can check it out. And if you get out online, Rally Caps the Movie, Judd Hirsch, Amy Smart, Carson Meniere, and the cast. Your little face is even on here. There's Jodi Michelle Cutler. But I looked here. Brooks Robinson's on here. Tim Kirchin's on here. You tell me more. Tell me more about this thing.
Okay, my dad participated in a couple fantasy camps, And I mean, he's always been big on memorabilia, getting things signed, and he met Brooks and they became friendly. And Brooks has always been so kind to my dad, and my dad's always loved him. And so he was really excited to be a part of the movie. There's a scene with an autograph shot of Brooks Robinson where Judd Hirsch says he's his guy, and the number 5 throughout the movie is an important part. Tim Kirchin is another person who my dad was friends with. He became friends with, and he is just a stand-up guy, so kind and generous and amazing. And you know, we had really great experiences with all of the baseball players, and also MLB. They've been amazing.
Well,
So we've
I
been
hope you
lucky.
get to the other 22 stadia. I hope there's a grand tour. So this is I guess this segment, this is a beginning. You're going to have another story in 4 months or 6 months or 8 months as this continues to happen for you, because it's not done. You're still in you're frosting the cake as you've
Nestor,
we're going to
we're
eat the
just
cake
getting
at some point,
started.
right?
We're just getting started. There's going to be a lot of cake with a lot of good stuff in that cake, and
All right, well, I'll bring
we're
coffee.
excited.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you taking some time coming. So you're back in the United States, Italy. Just on the aside, because I talk a lot of travel here and different stuff. I've had a lot of friends in Italy recently. That's a heck of a decision, a life decision to move back and to move there. I thought you were just a real trailblazer back then. I thought, man, she's moving to Italy. She didn't even speak Italian. And that's what I'm thinking 30 years ago. And look at how your life has turned out. But winding up back here and back in the States, an interesting decision this time.
Yeah, Nestor, I'm 51 years old and completely starting over, taking everything that I learned in Italy. I can make a mean tiramisu and bringing it back to the
That's it. I'm
States.
coming to West Palm. That's it. Count me in.
I have to say I've been really lucky, and we're really happy. I've met amazing people in Italy, and I'm meeting more amazing people here in West Palm Beach and back with family. And it's been a really interesting life. I have a lot of stories to
Well,
tell.
some of them we're gonna get off the air. Rallycapsthemovie.com is the way to find all the information about this film. And she's always putting up pictures, and Judd Hirsch, and they're winning awards and doing stuff. And at some point, little old Nestor from Dundalk from 30 years ago will have a chance to watch your work and your dad. Hey, love your dad. Tell Steve I said hello as well. And I mean, I look, Brooks and Tim Kirchin, these are old friends of mine. They're in the movie as well. So I'm looking forward to bringing some folks together. Maybe we'll have cold beer, some hot dogs, some crabs, some crab
That
cakes,
sounds
something like
really
that. Does that
good.
work? All right. Can't
Yum.
get that in West Palm Beach. I tell you what, we're starting the year with friends, old and new. Jodi Cutler's a longtime friend of mine. I'm inviting a whole bunch of people on that I've been meaning to gather and grab, and for whatever reason, I haven't been able to get a crab cake with them or a Zoom with them. So we're starting the year off strong. We're doing the Maryland Crab Cake Tour beginning next week. Andy from GNA Coney Island Hot Dog, he has also been very, very elusive since he left me in Highlandtown, and I can't drop by for hot dogs on the arm with some proper chili on there and maybe a little bit of sauerkraut as well. We're going to be doing that as well as a crab cake next Thursday with Andy, so you'll find all that. It's all brought to you by the Maryland Lottery in conjunction with our friends at Goodwill and Window Nation. I wore my State Fair shirt to make Jodi really, really sorry she left Maryland because it has the Maryland flag on it. We're going to be overdoing a crab cake tour at State Fair in the coming weeks as well over in Catonsville to start the year the right way. And speaking of Maryland, former Congressman and Maryland superstar Tom McMillan's coming on this week as well. So a little plug there for the Terps. I am Nestor. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking. Rally Caps, BaltimorePositive.com. Stay with us.